welcome to GunnerKing's Court. Apologies for the slight delay. I was having some technical difficulties with my hardware set up here, but it's good to be on another show. I'm here today with James, obviously resident here at the Armoury TV.
Yeah, it was good.
How's it going? You all right?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on. I've been a bit sick, as you know, but I'm slowly recovering. I had a bit of a chest infection, but that's starting to clear up now. I had some antibiotics for it, but yeah, no, I'm doing good.
I hope you're feeling better now, man. And good to hear that you're getting through onto the other side. But yeah, I mean, we've not got a great deal to discuss today, but we're just going to go through one or two stories very quickly. But the first one I wanted to go into that I'm sure everyone's aware of that developed over the weekend, news that the Ben White transfer is done, subject to a medical pending, which we believe has been booked in for this Wednesday. I think he got back from holiday today, if I'm not mistaken, or yesterday or over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Probably needs a day or two just to kind of get the holiday blues out of his system. Medical booked in for Wednesday. I expect that to be announced this week. Probably Wednesday, if not Thursday, maybe Friday, I think at the latest. That will be announced. Miss Melina, also props to you. Thanks for tuning in. Great to see you tuning in. Actually, as well, he actually made it. We've got another panelist. So, beyond the post. What's going on?
Gunner Express. Sorry, Gunner King. My bad. I was on another stream with Gunner Express just now.
Oh, it's not a good start to your debut on the Armoury. But we'll let that slide. We'll let that slide. Don't worry. Can understand how the names can get mixed up. But before we get started, I mean, hello, Beyond, you still there?
Am I audible now?
Yeah. We can hear you now. Beyond the post,
no, I can't hear you. I'll have to probably rejoin. 1 second.
Oh, okay. No worries. We'll just go with James for now then. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on the transfer news with Ben White and his medical?
It's been long. It's been a bit drawn out, a bit longer than I would have liked it to be, but I'm still gassed that for me, I don't know why. I played as a centre back, so whenever we sign a centre back, I always get gassed, especially one of this quality. You see like the comparisons between Ben White and Varane and this kind of thing, and Man United fans I've seen on Twitter today are trying to push this. I can't believe you guys paid 50 million for Ben White and we're paying 40 million for Varane, but like the total cost of Varane is a lot more than Ben White. But we won't go into it. I think for just to touch on that, I think for both teams, we've both signed good players for where we're at right now. United going to challenge, and if they don't challenge this year, then it's a failure of a season for me from the players they brought in. So they needed a world-class centre-back that's in their prime right now. For us, we needed a younger centre-back that can develop. For me, I think he has all the characteristics to develop into an incredible centre-back. He's really good, but I'm talking like top tier, becoming England's best centre-back. I genuinely believe that he has that potential. But yeah, I'm just glad the medicals are in and he's going to be an Arsenal player, so then we can start to progress on to what's next for us in the transfer window.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and I'm pretty sick of having the really basic schoolyard talks with United fans and rival fans about comparing the transfer to Varane, the guy in his prime, a year left, on his contract. He's obviously going to be, he's a depreciating valued asset, no matter how good he is. If your contract has run down to the state where you've only got a year left on it, you are a depreciating asset. You're being sold by a club whose financial affairs have been run horrendously, which has come to a head this year. where new legal rules have been brought in that stipulate your wage bill has to be to a certain amount, which they're over, like many other of the bigger Spanish clubs, which depreciates your value further, making you a club that needs to sell that player a lot more than it would like to. So, you know, comparing that transfer to a 23-year-old who's coming from an English club, you know, and is an English player, so you're not paying a double English tax there. Like, just learn football and learn how economics works. You know, is all I've got to say to the rivals that want to chat shit about this. You know, like it's simple stuff. It's simple economics. You know, supply and demand. It's simple stuff, really. But beyond, I want to extend the floor to you and get your thoughts on Ben White's transfer, his medical pending for Wednesday. You know, just your overall thoughts, really, on this transfer. And whilst you're at it, you know, why don't you tell the listeners sort of a bit more about you and where we can find you as well?
Yeah, for the first thing is, I apologize. I just came out from Egal's stream onto yours. I was talking to Gunner Express there. So my first reaction is, no, I'm not saying that, but I was like, I just jumped ship and immediately my, I don't know, the audio went like berserk. So StreamYard probably has done something with respect to that. Ben White overall, I think this deal should have been done weeks ago. We have been extending. We like to do that. We like to keep extending and pushing things around. In the meantime, while this deal was not completed, they put in the Smith Rowe contract extension as well. So Arsenal is planning, like, we'll give them one surprise a week, especially when they get angry. So they cancelled the preseason tour to the US and suddenly they start throwing candies at the fans. And I get the feeling now the next candy is going to be the Ben White deal has been completed. Comparing him to Varane, I don't care. I don't care what United is doing. That will matter once the season starts. I am not giving a damn about which players they are signing because there is no comparison. The amount of money their owners spend and our spend, if we start comparing that, we'll probably end up in a depression as it is. So let's not compare what they are doing. Let's see what we are doing and what kind of players we get. And as James said, once this is done, we are done with it. The deal is done. Now we look forward to getting more players in. We need a goalkeeper. We need more midfielders. We need to be focused on those things, and we need as much time as possible to get in new players and more players. And then the season starts. That's it. We are already heading into the Chelsea game. Then there's a North London derby as well. So it's time for the big games to start. And if Ben White can settle in immediately, I think it's a good buy. I don't care what Varane is doing. I'm not going to compare him to Varane right through the season. Some fans may end up doing that. But I think I'm happy with the signing and time to move ahead.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, to be honest. You know, I think it's more sort of the rivals that talk rubbish that you have to just kind of remind of how basic their comparisons is. People just like their centre-backs. You've got to compare them. But their circumstances and the circumstances of the respective clubs that they're coming from are not the same. I definitely agree with you. I think we need to start. I think this is the first signing that I felt is an immediate or someone that is more immediately going to go into the first team. Obviously, it follows up the Tavares and the Lokonga transfer, which are guys that I think I saw very much kind of supplementing the squad for the positions that they're in. Lokonga played really well against Millwall, and I think he built a case for being able to contribute to the first team sooner than probably a lot would have thought. In terms of what One Touch says here, I mean, would you say that you agree? I mean, he's saying, you know, 3 midfielders, a keeper, a right back, and he's put a striker as well. James, what would your thoughts be on that? Do you think? Would you agree with those areas?
That's what we need.
Prioritize them as well.
That's what, for me, priorities are a number 6 and a 10. Those are my 2 issues right now, I think. Because I'm not saying we've got bodies there, but if we have to make do, we can throw Joe Willock as a CM as an 8, which I think I'd like to see him as an option as an 8. I don't see him as a 10. I'd like to see him as an 8. But short of El Neni, we don't have he's not. I don't want to throw shade at El Neni because to get where he's at, he's not a bad football player. Let's be real. But in terms of the stature of our club and where we want to be, he's not either a part of the squad or he's not the number one option. So for me, it's a 6 and a 10 because we can't rely solely on Emil Smith-Rowe. I believe he's going to have a more of a breakout season than he had, considering he had maybe 6 to 7 months of a season. I want to see him from September to May, June, whenever the season is going to end. I want to see the numbers he can do and what he can do within a full season. But we need to relieve that burden. So I've seen Aouar's consistently been linked last season and this year, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. We've had Odegaard that we wanted. Real Madrid weren't going to sell him, and now he might be sold, so that might happen. And obviously, we've had the James Maddison link. For me, if we can get any one of those three, I'll be happy. I think we need Aouar plus either or, Maddison or Odegaard. And yeah, we need a right back, and strike is difficult. It's like, I think striker and goalkeeper are the two missing links within our squad in terms of we have Leno, who's a good keeper, but he's not fit for our system in terms of what we want to try and do. He's a good keeper. I wouldn't replace him, but for going forward, we'd obviously want to improve. And then Lacazette, again, he's a good striker, but he's not an elite striker. So for me, it's kind of we either sell Lacazette now and bring in a good quality striker, or we sell Leno and bring in a good quality keeper. I don't see both of them happening. I see it's one or the other. But yeah, for me, priority is a 6, a 10, then the right back, and then whatever else we can fill out.
Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, I mean, what you know, obviously, you mentioned beyond, was it a right back and some midfielders and a goalkeeper? What do you think about the striker situation? And if you're saying midfielders, what sort of roles or technical kind of profiles do you think we should look for in midfield as well?
See, I get the feeling a lot of people are saying that Arteta is not going to play 4-4-2 at the start of the season. It's just a pre-season thing. I get the feeling, no, he's going to play a 4-4-2 because he's tried playing Aubameyang in a 4-2-3-1. It's not worked. He's played Lacazette there. That was kind of clicking in a 4-2-3-1. But if he wants to play like a Balogun as well, and he wants to bring in more players like Martinelli, he doesn't want to play Martinelli on the wings, because what happens is when Martinelli runs up and down the wings, he probably gets a bad tackle and he gets injured. So I feel that he's going to stick with this 4-4-2 that he's playing right now, and he's probably going to try it out a bit. And if that is the case, what is he going to do? He's going to have, as I said, in the midfield, it will be Partey and maybe Elneny or an OR. And alongside on the two outside will be maybe the likes of, it could also be Joe Willock and Partey. It could be those guys. And then outside, it's going to be probably on one side Smith-Rowe, on the other side Saka, and probably Pepe and Lacazette up front. That is what I feel. But the thing is, what he wants is Lacazette will be the deep falling striker, and the other guy has to be the one who makes the runs into the box. Now, if he's going to play Pepe on the wings to an extent, maybe giving Saka time to come into the team, he's looking for another striker because Aubameyang is totally out of form to make those runs behind the defensive line. So Lacazette, Smith-Rowe, Saka, all these guys, Pepe, will be feeding the ball to this one striker who will eventually become the lone striker, even though they start as a 4-4-2. And Lacazette will become the deep falling striker. So he will become the creator, like what Bergkamp and Henry used to do, but it's not at that level. We know that. So the thing is that if he's playing a 4-4-2, I think there is a need for a striker as well, because Aubameyang is very bad right now. Eddie is not good enough. Balogun still needs his time. Martinelli has been gone to the Olympics. So who's going to be that second striker? I think Pepe can be a shout there once Saka is fully fit and ready to play, but he's not completely as a striker. I mean, he can be used there. The other factor about a striker is Aubameyang last season was asked to play as an inward forward. He's lost his pace. He couldn't do it. When you play a 4-4-2, Aubameyang won't have to, he won't be too far wide. He'll be probably more towards the center as well. So in a 4-4-2, he won't need to put in the same kind of effort running from the flanks to the inside. He'll be already towards the box, and Lacazette will be behind him trying to feed him. So that gives Aubameyang more chances at goal, because his finishing was supposed to be better than Lacazette. So if we are playing that 4-4-2, I think that is when we need a striker. Goalkeeper is obviously a need because Leno's future is in doubts. We need better distribution. Ramsdale is definitely not an option. If anyone can explain to me why we need Ramsdale, I'm still not going to agree with you. I'll just keep quiet and say, okay, whatever you want to say. And defense-wise, Bellerin needs to go. I think I've said this since the end of last season. Chambers is going to be our first choice right back at the start of the season.
So for me, to answer that earlier question, just to bring it back up, I think, so 3 midfielders, I would disagree. Yeah, I would say, so I'd say a right back. The midfielders I would look at would be another that can play deeper, so a Basuma. Right back, anyone from a choice of Aaron's, Emerson of Barcelona, Riddle Baku, anyone like that, Lamptey, an attacking fullback. What I'd have is, in terms of the other 2 midfielders, I'd bring Maddison and Aouar in. Now, you could use those in a 4-4-2 system, but to go to this comment, you could equally go to a 4-2-3-1. What you've got then is a combination of people that can play as left-sided players and number 10s. If you remember the days of Cazorla and Riziki, who were midfielders that could play as advanced 8s, they could play as 10s. And then at times they also played wide, but they weren't your typical wide players. They were kind of like in the wider areas, but a bit more narrow in like the inside channel. But they were operating very much as advanced playmakers from narrow positions. So you could have on the left side a Maddison or Aouar doing that. You could also have Smith Rowe doing that on the left, with either one of those being a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. Pepe and Saka, a choice of those 2 on the right-hand side. You can then have your Basuma and your Partey as your first choice centre midfielders, with Lokonga kind of operating as a squad man. If we're a few goals up and we want to shut up shop, you could bring off one of the 10s, and then Lokonga can come on, and then it could turn to kind of a flat 3, a Liverpool-esque system, if you will, in central midfield. And then also our Smith Rowe and Maddison have and all can play as advanced 8s in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 system, either or. So you've got that flexibility there between 4-2-3 and 4-4-3-3. But then also you've got the 4-4-2 options that Beyond described, where either you've got a deeper playmaker who's a bit more attacking, like an Aouar or a Maddison, and a Smith Rowe next to a Basuma or a Partey, with Lacazette being the second striker, and any one of those choices going on the left-hand side, again, doing the same thing. And then Saka and Pepe on the right-hand side with the right back. So I think if you get those 3, or you get those kinds of 3 profiles in midfield, actually, in terms of what One Touch is saying here, between 4-2-3-1, what Beyond has said about a 4-2-2, and what I've said about both, and a 4-3-3, you've got the flexibility to actually use all 3 systems, which is what I think more than anything Arteta is actually going towards, not sitting and resting on one system, but being able to try different ones.
I think it's also the for me, it's not the Beyond said, not Beyond, One Touch said that we need 3 midfielders, we need a right back and a striker. For me, I'd love to see a striker come in, but I'm thinking if we can get the right profile of central midfielders, as I said, like for example, for me, Basuma is the number 1 for me that we need to get. And then it's either or, because I don't see us getting 3 midfielders, let's be honest. I see us getting 2. I see us getting...
I mean, I was not costly.
No, he's not. But if we're being honest, right, let's just say if we're getting 2, I think it needs to be a defensive fluid like CDM, like a Basuma or a Locatelli, someone of that make that will allow us to, because from last season we struggled to create. It's because of our defensive shape. We don't have the quality of midfielder right now that's going to allow us to be expansive coming from the back. We just don't have that with our options. So I think a Basuma and either a Aouar, Maddison or Odegaard and then a right back should be our priority, because if you address those issues, we then go from okay, we're so predictable, we're gonna play it around the back, maybe kick it to the wing and always attack down the left. Now that we've got options on the right of Saka, Pepe, and we bring in a right back like Riddle Baku, Max Aarons like this, we then go from 90% coming from our attacks are coming from our left to we can actually play out attackingly and we have danger all across the pitch. And for me, that's the biggest concern. Like, if we let Lacazette go on a free next year and we address the issues of a DM, a centre mid that's attacking and a right back, I can live with that, because then I think we're going to move forward up the table. I'm not going to say we're going to get top 4, but we're going to be a lot more competitive than we have been.
Yeah, and I think what I wanted to say as well, like, I get what Beyond's saying, about strikers, but I think actually if you get the right midfielders behind them, what Beyond was saying about Aubameyang going into the channels or having to come deeper for the ball, not getting service in his system of a 4-4-2, then Aubameyang can stay up top and play off the shoulder and not have to come back and just stay in the positions where he's at his most dangerous. But in any case, we'll come back to the comments in a minute. What I wanted to do is just look at the other story, because we're not going to cover too much today, and then we'll go to the comments for a bit of the section. But I'm not sure what to make in this, like how trusted this source is. But I think there probably is some credence in Arsenal perhaps being open to offers for both of these players. Now, my thoughts on Willock. I think we should keep hold of him. I think he can develop into a future talent. But this report here is saying that Ainsley Maitland-Niles, the price tag that we've put on him is 20 million, and Joe Willock, we've put 30 million. And this is what I want to say as well, James. I really do think, like, if we are getting rid of 3 or 4 or 5 people, why can't we have free midfielders? We're going to need to replace them, But the questions that I want to ask Beyond, I mean, do you think those are fair and realistic prices for us to expect in the market for those 2 players?
I think Willock is less. Willock can be higher slightly. Ainsley is already, I think, a bit higher. I don't think 20 million maybe he's English as well, so probably I think 20 million pounds is fine for him, but I think Willock should be a bit more than 30 million pounds after the season that he's ended last season. I think 30 is like us being again mediocrely happy with the decent money coming in. Like, how did we end up selling Emi Martinez for 20 million and Sheffield puts 40 million on Ramsdale? So if and Ramsdale is nowhere as good as, like, I've been saying this, Ramsdale isn't even good enough to lace Emi Martinez boots. So, and they're asking 40 million for him, and we sold Martinez for 20 million. So that tells you that we underrate our players at times, and I think Joe Willock needs to be more. The thing about them leaving, I think Ainsley has interest from Brendan Rodgers. That is why we are trying to give him away for the Maddison as part of the Maddison deal. If that happens, I don't have a problem. Ainsley is anyways not going to probably feature for us because he doesn't want to play right back. But a lot of people are also saying, where will he play at Leicester? They will also take him as a backup right back or a first choice right back. So I don't know what
mid as well, which is his other position. I mean, they've got good centre mids, right?
Yeah, they don't have a place for him in midfield anyways. They have a better midfield than us. So he's not. If he can't make it in our midfield, what will he do at Leicester's midfield? So the thing is, overall, see, I don't mind the price tags. I think why they have released these price tags is if they're looking to get in an OR, if they're looking to get in a Maddison, they need to sell these players as well. Because if a Maddison and OR, say both of these midfielders are coming in, like out of the 3, if 2 are coming in, 2 more are coming in, then they need to get rid of some of the players as well. We don't have European football as well. So there are no additional games. and all we have is the League Cup, and the FA Cup. And in the League Cup, I guess again he'll be featuring some youngsters, and he will not want to be embarrassed in the FA Cup. So again, he'll probably feature the first team. So where will these guys play? I guess maybe only the League Cup is a realistic place where maybe the likes of Ainsley and Joe Willock can play. Rather than that, I think they would also prefer to leave the club. So it's a win-win situation if a guy like Ainsley can go to Leicester and we get Maddison. It helps us, it helps Leicester, it helps the player. So I don't see anyone would be complaining about that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, to be honest. And I think obviously Willock, someone I want to keep hold of. I think if he is sold, we should put a buyback clause in. Definitely maybe consider a sell-on clause if we don't exercise it as well, like two-prong it. If it was 30 million, I'd expect there to be add-ons. I think it's too low. I mean, look, we've been having the English tax rammed down our throat with Ben White. So what we can't return the favor to these other clubs. Like for me, they're English players, and I believe, Ainsley Maitland-Niles has definitely played for England. Willock played for England at youth level, if I'm not mistaken. So I think at the end of the day, why not, right? I think those are fair prices given where the market is at the moment. And I mean, look, if you look at it like this, as I was saying, James, if we're looking at the three midfielders and Maddison cost 60 million, well, there's 50 million of that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look as well, hear me out. If you look at Tavares, he cost 8 million, and Lokonga costs 17.5 million euros. Is it about 15 million?
Yeah, 15 million. Yeah,
but we know that Xhaka's probably going to get announced soon, going in the other direction. So you could look at Xhaka's transfer covering those, and then the sale of those two. That would leave us like where we've not actually spent anything theoretically from our own revenue kitty. Do you see what I mean? So why limit ourselves at thinking that one midfielder would be enough, or even two? You got the money there that you've recouped from the sales. Use it. I would rather have more options than none going into next season. And I think this is meant to be the big summer. Like if we're recouping money from sales. Then the way I see it, that money should be going back into the playing squad. It shouldn't. It's money off the wage bill as well. Cumulatively, we got rid of more players in the previous window. We spent very modestly in the last window when that's probably what got us in this situation. Look, we can't fuck around now. Like I just think we've got to go into this market properly. And we've got to address the issues that we need to. And I think the biggest deficiencies in this team is in midfield.
It is for sure. But I think I'm with you. I don't want to see Willock go because, like Beyond said, right, what we sold Emi Martinez for, that price is a disgrace, right? Because if we're putting a price tag on when we sold him, it was a lot of money for the games he had played, right? I'm not going to come at like a skew perspective. When at the price we sold him for, at the time, it was a good amount of money for the games he had played for us. But if we're looking back in hindsight now, as Beyond said, I can't believe Sheffield United are quoting 40 million for Ramsdale, and we sold Emi Martinez for 20. I think the same mistake will happen with Willock if we sell him now. And this is why I don't want to sell him, because for me, I don't know. There's only been a few of our youth academy players that I've seen and I have gone, yeah, you've got it. You can play for Arsenal. I think Maitland-Niles had it when he was at right back. Centre mid, no. Smith Rowe, he just oozes it. Saka, obviously. Nketiah, no. Balogun, I get that impression that he can become that. But from what I've seen with Willock, when he first broke into the team, he was a very, very good player, right? And then he stagnated because he doesn't get the opportunities and the consistent game time that he had at Newcastle. And now that he's got that consistent game time, we've seen what he can do. And as Beyond said, right, 30 million is quite a lot less than what I'd want. For me, call me stupid, I want 35 million plus add-ons. But I think for what we need as a squad, we need players that can score that aren't in our front line. We need players that can score in our midfield, right? And Joe Willock had more goals than our entire midfield combined last season, and he played for 6 months straight. So why would you sell an asset that can help the squad and then go out and buy a replacement with the money that you just sold him for? So that doesn't make sense for me. So when I say I don't see us signing 3 midfielders. I don't see us signing 3 midfielders because I see us keeping Willock. If we don't keep Willock, then I see us signing 3 midfielders. But if we're keeping Willock, I only see 2 because that's what I want. I want a 10. I want a CM. I want Willock to play. Okay. But we'll see what happens.
I just want to add one thing. The funny thing is, we could have done simple things right. Like Brighton needs a striker. Give them Eddie Nketiah. Take Bissouma. Newcastle wanted Joe Willock. Give them Joe Willock. Take Saint Maximin. Get in such players. If you want to give away these players, like if you're putting price tags, rather than giving them away at cheap prices, do a swap deal. Get in players that you need that can improve your squad as well. Even if these teams, which are more or less battling relegation every season, become a little stronger, it doesn't matter in the long run. The thing is, now we are looking at James Maddison, who's a Leicester player. If we end up giving Leicester a player who becomes a great asset for them, or we end up giving Leicester more money, Leicester will go put that money in another young talent, build him up, and then sell him again to another big club for a big price. So rather than just going for players who are at clubs who are already above us, we should go and look at some of these gems at clubs which are below us. And even if we give them one of our assets in exchange, we can put in a buyback clause. I don't think any club will argue with us that why would we if you put a buyback clause and say Willock's contract, I don't think anyone will be complaining. Newcastle won't be complaining. And the other thing is, even if we are giving them some kind of money, at the end of the day, Newcastle isn't going to rise from a relegation battle to a top 4 fight. They will need more players. They will need more time. They need a better manager and an owner. But at the end of the day, if we get a player like Saint Maximin and he clicks at Arsenal, he could change the entire face of our team. So the thing is, we are not going for the clear and obvious options. We are trying to struggle with bigger clubs, which are trying to take us for money. They're trying to dupe us for money. And at the end, I think the situation will be similar to Ben White with Maddison as well. If Ben White is 50 million, they're going to take way more than that for Maddison.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps. But I think, to be honest, I think there needs to be a balance, as you're saying, with bullying the smaller teams into taking their better talent. But they're at the smaller teams for a reason, it's still, how much of an immediate impact are they going to have? I really think you need that blend of top talent. That's why I haven't slated the club for going in for Locatelli. A lot of people have said it's an absolute waste of time. You're never going to get him. But if you get him by chance, that Juventus can't afford him, he improves us. And, he improves us more than, say, a Neves who's come from Wolves, who's probably not playing at the level that Locatelli is at the moment. So I think you do need to still have kind of that, not just not for the marquee status, although I think we deserve a marquee signing. I think it's been too long since we've had a marquee signing. I think this window we deserve one. But I don't really just see Maddison as a marquee signing. I see him as someone that's proven himself at Leicester, came from Norwich, obviously joined Leicester when they were a lesser team and has built them up, has had the team built around him and has raised the status of that club. So I like the idea of him coming to our club and doing the same. And I think the experience that he's had at Leicester could definitely help him do that. But guys, let's go through some of the comments because there's been some really interesting ones. And we've left some stories out today just so we can kind of go through them. Now, One Touch, obviously mentioned here, he didn't like the sound of the 4-4-2. I think One Touch, as I explained, I don't like the idea of resting on any one system. I think an over-reliance on one system going into next season, finding out one system doesn't work and you've committed to it, not having any fluidity or flexibility to try different things based on not having the right player profiles to do that, I think that's more of a risk. So as I said, I think 4-2-2, 4-2-3-1, and 4-3-3 as starting positions, and having the players to fit all of those is necessary. I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, just wanted to add one thing. Also, the 4-4-2 that we talked about, in that it is potentially just a 4-2-3-1 in itself. Like with Lacazette coming deep, it actually becomes a 4-2-3-1 in itself. It actually wasn't a proper 4-4-2. It was actually a 4-2-3-1 in itself. Like, so that is how it is going to be dynamic. The only problem is last season 4-4-2 was employed by Arteta when the opposition had the ball and these guys were falling back. So I think what he's trying to do this time is he's going to start with that formation, which they were using last season as a defensive tactic, and he's going to try to attack with that so that there is minimum dynamism in the team so that they don't have to change too much. Because I think one of the problems what they had with the 4-3-3 was they were not able to transition that well from a 4-3-3 into a different formation. So eventually he had to change from a 4-3-3 into a 4-2-3-1 and start with that and stick to it, which worked. So now what he's trying to do is he's trying to start with a 4-4-2, which is his go-to tactic when they don't have the ball. So he will try to create and score goals with that. There won't be too much dynamism in the formation and the type of play, but there will be people covering in for other players and filling in the spaces which were left out last season, so that we don't concede like last season, the first half, but at the same time we score more goals, which was not happening last season.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing that you'd factor in as well, that fluidly in the game, the systems can change as well from a starting formation to other ones as well. I mean, James, your thoughts on that as well?
Well, as one touch, just a question to me about bringing in these players, right? I'm not trying to be negative, but even Chelsea's window last year, right? Everyone looked at it and said they brought in a lot of players, but in terms, they probably brought in 6 or 7. What am I? Kai Havertz, Werner, not Pulisic, what's his name? Ziyech, Thiago Silva, Malang Sarr. So they had a lot of players that they brought in, right? But if we're being honest, with what, as Beyond said, we don't have Europe. So yes, we can get all of these players. Are we going to be able to play them? And I think this season is. I don't want to compare us to Chelsea because we're not nowhere near Chelsea in terms of the squad at the moment. But what they've done is they've recruited well. The last season they recruited really, really well, right? So now they're in a position where they might need a Declan Rice, a Sal from Atletico, and they need one big signing, which is a striker, which is Haaland, right? For me, that's where I want us to be at. I want us to sign a lot of players, but realistically, do you see us signing 9 players? It just doesn't happen, right? So if we can sign,
do you see 9 players settling as well?
No, it does. To be fair, right? You've seen. I'm trying
to Chelsea season as well.
Yeah, it's not. They're not going to gel. If you're talking about, we have 11 players starting, right? So if we're signing 9, we have 6 players that come into the first team, and then you have 3 that are squad depth, right? It's going to take them a while to get. It's either new league, new squad, new setup, right? It's going to take them a while to gel, and you've seen how the successful teams have transitioned, like the Cities, the Liverpools. They've signed 3 to 5 players that are either first team or are very good squad depth players that can come in, integrate, and then they go again for the season, right? And it's a process. We're not at the point now where we're like, we're going to spend so much money because we need to, because we're close to winning the league. We're where Liverpool were in 2017, where they got rid of a lot of dead wood and they added quality to it. We're at the very beginning phase of our transition, and to be able to add 6 players, for me, 7 at a max, that's where I see us going. That is going to put us in a good stead where next year we can go, okay, look, we don't need to do 7, 8 players. We need to do 5, but these players are either going to be young and they're going to hit the ground running, or they're going to be the experience that we're looking for. So realistically,
and we've done 2 of those signings already.
For right now, where we're at in the period right now, we need to add first team. quality.
Yeah.
We were crying out for a young midfielder. We were crying out for a young left back. We've got them. We now need to go. Okay, look, we've got Ben White, improves our defense. I don't care what anyone says. You can agree or disagree with me. I rate Ben White highly. I think he's going to be incredible for us over the long term. So for me, I see that as a very good addition. And then you're talking, as we discussed, the central midfield. That might be then, in terms of a starting improvement, that might be 4. If we're talking 3 midfielders, that might be 4 first-team signings, and then a right back, right? That's 7 signings in total.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
window.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a way of looking at it. I mean, there's 2 things. I think I was hearing yesterday that the African Cup of Nations in January might be cancelled.
Yeah, it might be off, but even again with cup competitions, right? FA Cup, we want to go deep in. It's historical with this club. I like to see us go deep in it every year. We didn't last season, so that again, if we want to go deep, you're going to play your strongest team, right? So that again limits rotation, and then you have like the League Cup, Carabao Cup, right? It's limited game time, no matter which way you look at it. Even if AFCON happens, we have Pepe, we have Aubameyang. Who else do we have? That's Thomas Partey. So those are 3, right? I'm trying to think of the other African players that we have in our team.
El Neni.
Again, there's 4 players.
Right? Partey is probably not going. He's not taking part in AFCON, I think.
Okay.
Was he not suggesting that? He wanted to work on his fitness.
Maybe.
I think so. AFCON, look, to clear it up, AFCON was meant to be this summer. Then it got called off. It was moved into the new year. But then I was hearing yesterday, where was I hearing it? Was it the Terrace? I can't remember. It was somewhere that was saying that it's been cancelled again from the new year. In which case, that worry's not there. I want to double check that before I carry on with that. But
I've heard that
the other thing, I think it is cancelled. But the other thing as well, I mean, this kind of touches on what I was saying, which I wanted to open up to both of you guys. Ceballos is effectively gone. Odegaard is effectively gone. So we had 2 chance creators in ESR and Odegaard, 2 creatives from the central areas that both could also play wide, respectively, on the left or the right, with Odegaard being left-footed. I found that gave us a lot of balance because, you could have one playing as a 10, one in the wide right or left position, vice versa, and having them interchange as well. Martinelli coming back on the left obviously gives you a bit more balance. But yeah, like if you consider that Ceballos is gone, Odegaard is gone, Xhaka is going, Torreira's probably going to go, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. This is what I mean. Like, I mean, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from, 4 that were in and around the first team squad. 3, really. Guendouzi was out on loan, first team in the previous season. Same with Torreira. Ainsley Maitland-Niles the same. El Neni was in the first team squad, so you could call that 4. So like 4 fringe midfielders, and 4 that were in and around the first team squad last season. The other 4 being in and around the squad in the previous season. I mean, look, I don't see how it's too much to ask for 3 more midfielders now if we get rid of even half of those.
It's not unrealistic. It's not too much to ask, right? But I think we're looking at it from a fan goggles perspective. I think we're looking at it as right. We're a fan of this club. This is what we want as a club, not in the perspective of what are we going to do. I agree with One Touch that we need 3 midfielders. As I said, we need a 6, we need an 8, we need a 10. Those are the profiles in our midfield that we need to bolster. But let's be honest, that we're going to sign all of those 3. I don't see it happening. And even if we get 2, it's still progress into what we need. I agree with One Touch, as I said, we need 3, but I struggle to see it happening unless we're known as a club that is shit at selling. We can't get value for our players, right? You saw Chelsea get 20 million from Palace for a centre-back that hasn't played in the Prem yet. The Guehi or whatever his name is, I can't pronounce this around bad pronunciations, but they got 20 million for a player that's a 21-year-old centre-back, right? We're bad at selling players. So if we're talking, as we discussed in previous shows, of assets that we can sell, I'm not going to include Willock in this because I don't want to sell Willock. You've got Bellerin, Xhaka, Torreira, Kolasinac, maybe not. We won't include him. Maitland-Niles, Nketiah, Lacazette, right? That's 6, which you think we can generate 80 to 90 million from, you'd think. So it's really dependent on what we're after as a squad.
And like I'm going to go to beyond with that question, but before I do that, this is why I'm saying, and this is why I've said all along, changing the striker and the goalkeeper, I'd rather not do now, because the thing is with midfield, especially, like Auer is a good option at 20 million that he's available for, right? You can find good options and shirk at the cost of top options and develop them. Like the state that are like a goalkeeper in general and a striker, I think those are really the positions where you have to go out and really kind of, like, if necessary, not spare any expense. You know, like I think Edouard at Celtic may be available 15 million last year in his contract, might be good. But I think, you know, we've been looking at Isak, and he was quoted at 60 million euros just for having a good Euros, you know. And I think if I would rather leave, the point I'm trying to make is I would rather leave the goalkeeper and the striker position for now and go into next summer with just needing to recruit in those areas and maybe replace anyone that wants to leave at the end of next season, than the midfield, you know, and then just go out and just get a striker for the sake of needing one. Selling 15 million, or selling Lacazette for 15 million isn't going a long way to getting you a world-class striker. Do you see what I mean? It's not like a world-class striker. Are they going to want to come? You know, like, are we going to have to overpay for the fact of our current situation? So we're better off trying to get back into Europe, making ourselves attractive again, then being able to attract, you know, someone that is closer to or in the ilk of world class. Taking the Sancho strategy, right? You know, like, if you consider how long United have been in there, they kind of built themselves back up with those attacking players. And then that's when they go for that guy, because they're back in a position where they can do that. And they've kind of got by with a Cavani last season, you know, did their bit with him, and then waited for the right time to pounce for the proper striker replacement. I firmly believe if we improve what's going on behind the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang, they'll come good again. And then what you've got is you've got Balogun and Martinelli, that if they don't, these guys can get more chances. And look, they've been in our academy. Martinelli, you know, before he got injured, the season before, he got 10 goals in the season. That was his breakout one. That's what they're there for, right? You know, get rid of Nketiah, maybe.
I think so. I mean, can I ask a question, to be honest? I mean, sorry, I want to interject. Beyond, like, for me, as I've said, with our squads, I see our current squad where we're at right now. I see us in like a transition period. For me, I think this is like a 3-year process. How do you see this current squad? Like, what areas are you looking at to strengthen, and how many years do you think it's going to take us to get back to where we want to go? Because I think I've seen so many fans on socials, I don't know if you share the same viewpoint as me, is this isn't a 1-year project. This is a 3-year project that we need to transition in. I just want to get your thoughts on that whole thing.
I am frankly Arteta in, so I'm not worried about how long. But honestly, I don't think it's anything is going to happen in his 3 years. And a lot of fans are saying that get rid of this manager. I don't think he's going anywhere for 3 years as it is. Like, I think no matter what happens this season and the next season, he's going to be there till the end of his contract. If he's not able to probably give us back European football, they're not going to extend it. And then they will be like, it's a handshake goodbye, take care. And we'll get in someone who's similar to the manager, who can probably take over from the squad and then develop it further. So he's here to get rid of Deadwood. He's here right now to get in some decent buys, long-term prospects like he has. He's here to give maybe a bit of hope to some of the youngsters who have already extended their contracts. Probably if it was Emery, they would have not done that, because they wouldn't have the confidence whether this manager will stay here or not. With Arteta, at least they know that he's here for 3 years and he's done his bits. People may not give him credit that about the extension of the youngsters. He's done those things as well, and getting rid of the Deadwood. So now the other thing coming in is, as you said, about, is this a transition period? it's been a transition period since Wenger left. It had to be. It was always going to be. It was always going to be a transition period when your long-term manager leaves. I had written it on a guy's tweet that what did you expect when Wenger left? So people started commenting. So you were Wenger in. You have no idea what you're talking about. I just wrote this one single statement, and people on Twitter were all over me like you were Wenger in and all that. I wasn't Wenger in, but when a long-term manager leaves, it is always going to be a transition period beyond that.
Yeah.
And we've seen the same thing with Manchester United. Manchester United did not win a single trophy till Van Gaal won that FA Cup, and then also he got sacked. Then Mourinho came in and won them the Europa League and the League Cup. Then he also left, and now Solskjaer has been there at the club transitioning for 3 to 4 years, and he's still not won a trophy. Even though the team has improved and they have protected him in a way by giving him Bruno, our club doesn't do that. This was supposed to be the window where Arteta was supposed to be backed. And what does he have so far? He has Lokonga, he has Tavares, and he has just Ben White. So Ben White is looking like our marquee signing at the moment. If you are saying that this is a transition, is this actually the owners backing him? Josh Kroenke backing him? Josh Kroenke, the guy who wanted Arteta to replace Arsene Wenger. It's not. This is nowhere near to what you can call backing right now, and that is why, as I say, 3 years is not enough. If this manager was backed like a Manchester United manager being backed right now, yes, you could say 3 years. I need to see something. Ole has been backed so much more than Arteta has been, but fans are expecting that we will do things like Manchester United is. We are not going to do that. Look at the kind of money they spend. Every window they have a 80 million odd player coming in. What do we have? We got Pepe, who was probably like 50 odd million for 72 million. We got Thomas Partey, who was not injury prone before he came to Arsenal, but last season was one of his worst of his career. So now we have Ben White for 50 million. We don't know whether we'll have a marquee signing coming in after Ben White or not. Is this backing? We could have gone for simpler deals. We could have even gotten Buendia at one point of time. We could have gone for various simple deals. We don't take the simple deals, and then we expect a marquee signing. When a marquee signing comes in, he's overpriced because they know that we are desperate. And this is actually, rather than, I think, since Wenger leaving, this isn't more of a transitional phase. This is more like a cyclic phase where we go in circles in every window and eventually end up with a player who costs us more than he should be costing us. And where we know this, that we are always one season late in a transfer window. When we need a striker, we'll wait for that transfer window, and in the next window we get the striker. When we need a defender, we wait for a window. In the next window we get a defender. When we need a midfielder, we do the same. So now, right now, I do feel that, as you guys are saying, we don't need a goalkeeper and a striker. I feel we need one in both. Like the second choice goalkeeper who should come in, maybe a Sam Johnston or whoever comes in. Onana was an option. These guys need to be competing and pushing Leno to his limits. Even if they don't become the first choice, doesn't matter.
See, last
thing, if Leno has no competition, he's going to be lazy like last season. It's going to be all over again last season, and then eventually he'll come out and say, I want to go. We can't do anything about it. He won't extend.
See, I think, look, Leno's 29 now. I think, rather than Sam Johnson or Ramsdale, look at neither. Go to a Barcelona, get a Neto. PSG have got 8 registered goalkeepers, for goodness sake. Areola, the Fulham guy, he was on loan there. He's on loan from PSG, right, at Fulham. This guy's available. He's Premier League proven. He played a whole season with Fulham. They got relegated. Go get him. Who else have they got?
Romero, Neves. Romero is from United. Neves at PSG.
Yeah, I just think just someone like that, just a stopgap, that is credible backup that can be relied on if Leno's injured. And then at the end of next season, after we've sorted out our midfield, our defense, our right back position, then we go into the next summer window in, as James said, a Chelsea situation where Chelsea might only get a number 9 this season, and that might make them title challengers because they sorted out all of their other gaps with the last window where they did a bit of a mash up, so to say. So, as long as we can get back into Europe, coasting without replacing the goalkeeper and the striker now, extend Lacazette's contract for 1 year, so that we're in the same situation at the end of next season that we're in now, where he's got a year on his contract, bump it up a little bit. I don't know, maybe not a great deal, because people are looking at it as well. The other thing, what I find right is Liverpool kept hold of Wijnaldum. They would have had some inclination that Wijnaldum wasn't going to renew last season. That, let's be honest, like, people don't just come out of the blue and be like, I'm not going to renew my contract. They would have offered him a contract last season, and he would have stalled on it. Yeah, and Liverpool would have known the situation, and then they would have done this. We could sell him now and replace him now, but for what we need to do next season, i.e. retain a title, and obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, they didn't, but we need to not change that. What, like, the money that we would get for Wijnaldum at this stage, it's not worth taking. It's not worth taking. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, the thing is, in our case, it's the same thing, because Lacazette was the one thing that worked up front last season. Aubameyang didn't work. Yeah, playing Lacazette and Aubameyang together didn't work. Playing Aubameyang on the left didn't work. None of it worked. The one thing that worked last season, and it's proven in the 17 goals in all comps that he got, his best return was Lacazette playing up front in Arteta's system. So with all of these other changes and moving parts that you've got coming on, with people going out and people coming in, why would you change the one thing that worked? Like, we've got enough things to change that didn't work. Like, you're giving yourself too much to do. And also, Smith Rowe renewing his contract. I keep talking about this interview. I'm going to dig it up and put it on my Twitter later, where he did an interview a few months ago, and they were asked, he was asked, what senior player helps you the most in training? Who is the senior player in training that is coming up to you, giving you guidance, telling you what you need to do when you're actually playing in a match situation? Of all the senior players that he mentioned, it was Lacazette. Yeah. So in terms of the in my opinion, what the 15 million that you would get for him being negligent, and for what he can give these young players, because it's not just Smith Rowe, it's Martinelli and it's Saka, right? I think these are the three attacking players that we need to build this team around.
Also Balogun, I think.
But Balogun as well, you can put him into that category now. For what he can give these young players for another year, the 15 million is worth more. It's worth less than that.
It's not. No, it's not.
15 million doesn't buy that. It doesn't buy the experience that he can give these kids. It just doesn't. Like,
and the other thing is, if we make it into Europe next season, we get 25 million. So that is, like, if it's the Europa League, we get an additional 25. If you make it into the Champions League, it's an additional 50. So there's your money. So why do you want to? Why get rid of as you said, why get rid of the player that's working? Get rid of the players that are not working, who are not able to make it into the team, who don't want to be there. And see, this is the problem with fans on social media. They are not ready to say that Lacazette had a good season. They didn't even put him into the top 3 contenders of player of the season last year.
He had a good season.
He was in my top 3.
It
was Saka, ESR, and him. For me,
he was in yours, he was in mine, probably he was in James's as well, but on the official one he wasn't even there. And when I see right now, I say that we should do, I said this on a post as well, where on an Arsenal post, we need to do exactly what we did in the second half of last season and we'll be fine. If we do what we did in the first half of last season, we are fucked. If we do what we did in the second half of last season, we'll be fine. We'll be absolutely fine. We'll be going places. All we need to do is just keep doing what we did in that second half of the season. And people were saying, why will we play Lacazette over our best striker, who's Aubameyang?
Yeah, and it's like, it's just a case of what he's doing right now and playing the most informed player. And unfortunately, at the moment, Aubameyang's not that guy. But the thing is, what these two experienced strikers that have done it, at top club level, they've both played Champions League games. They've, both played international games. I believe Lacazette has as well, maybe a handful.
A few.
But they've both got experience that they can give these young strikers and these young attacking players. If people are talking about selling both of them, and it's just like, now that we've got rid of Louis, we got rid of Ryan, we got rid of all these players, there are only 2 30-plus-year-olds in the squad. And I'm all for reducing the average age. You've got to have some experienced heads in there to be like, you know, Xhaka's going to be another experienced player that's going to go. You know, like you've got to have limits. This isn't FIFA or Football Manager where you can just bring in all the best youngsters and they just do it. They need guidance, you know. So look, guys, I think you know, it's been good to have you guys on today. You know, I'm sure we could go on for a while. I am going to jump on some Twitter Spaces a bit later, so I'm sure that Beyond, you're always active. So you know, I'll probably see you on there. James, it's been good to have you on. Beyond, do you want to just before we go, just tell people where we can find you, like your socials, if you've got any channels or work that you're doing?
I got more pages on Facebook than Arsenal transfers this season, but but overall, yeah, you can just, if you are an Arsenal fan, you can check out a page called Arsenal FC Fans on Facebook. It has a dot at the end, and that page is doing well now. So we are putting articles there about transfer news as well, and obviously on Beyond the Posts on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitter is around 4,200 something followers now, trying to push to 5,000. And if you just check out YouTube, you can see there is a free fantasy league that I've created. Whoever wins the league and the cup will get a t-shirt each, like a branded t-shirt from Beyond the Post itself. And there's a paid league as well, which I'll be putting out details about. So whoever plays fantasy football definitely can check those out as well. Thank you for having me on.
I've got to get that done actually. And Beyond, it's been a pleasure to have you on as well. James, same to you as well. Thanks again to all of the people that have tuned in today. Guys, it's been good to have you on. Shout out to Charles Johan from my TikTok following. One Touch, good to have you on as always. One of our resident panelists here at the Armoury. Stu, MC, great to have you on as well. Solo, thanks for tuning in. Miss Melina, Reese as well. Thank you all so much for showing love and jumping on the channel. Guys, before we go, just one more thing as well. Please don't forget to follow the instructions here. Yeah, guys, if you could, smash the likes. That'll help the channel grow. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and it's been good to be here with you. We have updated the schedule. We're not going to be doing daily runs now, so I'll be putting it up on my Twitter later. And I will catch you guys up later in the week. Thanks a lot, guys.